What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Fantasy Football Focus 1. If you ain't a subscriber to the channel yet, hit subscribe below. Alright, so now today we're going to talk about one of the most interesting and competitive divisions in the AFC, in the AFC North. Alright, today we're going to be discussing the draft grades, the overall AFC North draft grades in depth, and we're going to see who had the best draft. Alright, so let's kick it off by talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals kicked off the draft with the first overall pick by taking Joe Burrow, the amazing QB out of LSU, okay? And I'll call him AKA the new Tom Brady. Alright, now honestly, Joe Burrow had the best season I've ever seen from a college QB. Alright, flat out, it was the most impressive thing I've ever seen from a college quarterback. And what makes Burrow so impressive is that he isn't the fastest QB or the smartest QB or have the biggest arm. The dude is just a good football player, right? He's a guy who studies film, he works his ass off, and he can read the field like Tom Brady. Yes, I said it. Burrow to me is a spitting image of Tom Brady. Just look at their mechanics, look how they deliver the football, the way they think, the way they process. So this pick was a no-brainer. Awesome pick, Bengals. You got your franchise QB for the next 15 years. Now, in the beginning of the second round with pick 33, the Bengals gave Joe Burrow a great weapon in T. Higgins, the big wide receiver out of Clemson. Now, Higgins is a jump ball specialist who's very talented. Higgins led the NCAA last year with the most catches of 20 yards or more. All right, so he's one of the best deep ball specialists, if not the best. Him and someone else. Higgins will be Burrow's main weapon once A.J. Green goes on and moves on from Cincinnati, which probably is going to be this year, even maybe before the season. Then in the third round, the Bengals took my favorite linebacker in the draft. They selected Logan Wilson out of Wyoming. Wilson is about 6'2", 240 pounds, and he runs a low 4.6. But he plays like he runs a 4.4, right? The guy plays like lightning. Logan Wilson, to me, was the most instinctive linebacker in the draft, right? He plays sideline to sideline. He's a field general. Now, sometimes he gets tricked because he's moving too fast and he plays too fast because he plays like his hair's on fire. But remember, Bengals fans, that is something that can easily be fixed. He was a steal, and to me, this is one of the best third-round picks in the whole draft, in my opinion, and I wish my Kansas City Chiefs would have drafted him. Now, the Bengals came back in the fourth and fifth rounds and took two more good defensive players, and Akeem Davis-Gaither, the linebacker out of App State, and then also the edge pass rusher Khalil Kareem out of Notre Dame. He played opposite of Julian Okwara. Notre Dame had two good defensive ends this past year. So both of these players, to me, should be role players day one, if not pushing for a starting spot. Now, the Bengals already got two good defensive ends as it is, but these guys are going to get in the mix for sure. So overall, I love what the Bengals did in the 2020 draft, right? For where they picked and who they picked, I don't think they could have done any better than those first three picks. They really don't. Then they came back and fixed the edge or their linebacking issues, which was the weakest part of the Bengals defense last year. They had good solid corners, good up front play. And because of the great picks, I have to give the Bengals overall draft for 2020 an A-. Right? So overall, amazing draft, Cincinnati. You guys are getting better each year. Alright, now let's talk about one of my favorite losing teams to hope and root for, the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns need no introduction, obviously. They are a team who starts doing good, then they always find a way to mess it up. Right? I remember back in, I think it was 2012 or 2014 when the Browns were 6-0, I was like, wow, the Browns are 6-0, and then they go lose 6 games. So, again, not to, put shade on Cleveland, because I'm always rooting for them, I am. But again, they usually tend to way to mess it up. But I'm hoping that they can continue to build off last year, right? Because the Browns have a lot of talent, okay? A lot of talent on their team right now. And to be honest, they have hands down one of the best drafts this year, if not the best, all right? So let's talk about it in depth. So the Browns started the draft off by selecting one of the best prospects in the draft in Jedrick Wills, the former Alabama offensive tackle, who has elite pass protection, and he's elite in the run game, right? All last year, and in the rest of his college career. Now, Wills plays with a sort of confidence and technique that other offensive tackles just don't have. They just don't. His footwork is quick, and it's perfect in the pass game, and when Wills needs to, he can roll up his sleeves and throw people around, especially in the run game, all right? He can get nasty. Now, to me, he was an absolute draft steal at pick 10, and he was the best overall offensive tackle in this draft. And I think he should have went number 3 overall to the Giants. But luckily, the Browns, the Giants slept on him and the Browns took him. All right. So overall, Cleveland, awesome pick. The Browns then came back in round 2 and round 3 and struck gold again. In the round 2, they selected Grant Delpit, the super instinctive and aggressive safety at LSU. Delpit should be a starter day one. The 6'2", 200-pound safety is going to be a solid player for the Browns for years to come. Now, sometimes Delpit would miss tacklers because of how aggressive he plays, but that could be coached up, right? Someone being too aggressive, I'd rather have that than someone not playing aggressive. So another great pick. Then in the third round, the Browns took Missouri defensive tackle Jordan Elliott. Now, Jordan Elliott is an absolute steal in the third round, right? Elliott has a skill set for a player who can be absolutely elite, like a Chason, okay, at LSU. Pro Football Focus had Elliott as the 23rd best overall prospect, okay? And the Browns were able to get him with pick number 88, all right? That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a draft steal, okay? Now, Elliott, the last 2 years, has been graded out better than any other defensive lineman in the country, all right? That's even better than Chase Young, right? So if you're better than Chase Young grading out, that's pretty impressive, all right? But Elliott sometimes, what his issue is, he lacks the motor to finish plays sometimes, right? Which is an effort issue, all right? Which I don't like on that. Which is something that he will need to fix right away. Or if he doesn't fix that issue, he's not going to last, all right? But if he does, he's going to be special. Then with the Browns' second, third round pick, the Browns took Jacob Phillips, a linebacker out of LSU. Now, Phillips is about 6'3", 230 pounds and runs a low 4.6, very athletic. All right, Phillips should make an immediate difference in special teams and also as a starter / backup linebacker. The Browns then continued to hit on their draft picks in the fourth round when they selected tight end Harrison Bryant out of Florida Atlantic University. Now, some people even have Bryant as the best tight end in the 2020 draft, and the Browns got him in the fourth round. All right, that's another great value pick. Bryant is quick and he's fluid, almost like a basketball player when he runs his routes. All right, it's very, very impressive, like an Antonio Gates. He runs a low 4.73 in the 40. All right, so he's fast enough and knows how to separate in his routes. All right, Bryant is a high IQ guy, and he's super tough. All right, and even though he is a little light in weight, I think he ranges about 240, 250. He is still aggressive in the run game. All right, he shows great technique. He'll lower his head and he'll get down with the ends. All right, so overall, I love this pick. All right, they might have got the best tight end in round 4. Then to finish the draft off, the Browns selected Nick Harris, the center out of Washington. Now, Harris is super tough, plays with awesome technique. He's another great late round grab. And then to throw a dart on the dashboard, the Browns took Donovan Peoples-Jones, all right? The big athletic receiver who's about 6'3" and has a 44-inch vert, all right? He almost got the record. The record at the Combine, 46 inches with Gerald Sensabaugh back in 2005, all right? So this shows how high Peoples can jump and how athletic he is. And he ran a 4.48 in the 40, all right? Now, Peoples has insane athleticism, but he's had trouble throughout his college career trying to translate that athleticism into elite production at the college level. So that's it's worrisome on that. That's why he's a 7th round pick. But again, he has the skill set to be an elite wide receiver, and I hope he figures it out because the Browns got a steal if he does. Now, seriously, overall, I don't know if another team in the league had a better draft than the Cleveland Browns. Now, we will debate this in our next videos or feature videos on who really had the best draft in the league, but I know the Browns are up there, okay? The Browns had 3 first picks in the draft who were absolute draft steals, and all 3 of those players can be an elite stars at their respective positions the first year in. All right. Then they selected probably the best tight end in the draft in round 4, which is another steal. Then they selected players that should make a difference immediately in every other round. Okay. So overall, I'm going to give the Browns A+ flat out. Amazing draft. Every pick I think they hit. All right, now on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise that wins and is competitive, obviously, every year in the playoffs, or at least close to making the playoffs. Now, the reason for that is, in my opinion, is because they have good coaching and they know how to draft. Flat out, the Steelers do. The Steelers have the best pass rusher in the league in T.J. Watt. Yes, I said it. Look at the stats and you'll see. There's no one in the game that rushes the passer like better than T.J. Watt, in my opinion, right now. All right, just move-wise, how he gets to the quarterback, all that stuff. All right, now I'm not gonna say he's the best overall DN. I said pass rusher. All right. And also, they always have Pro Bowl players on their team that they get throughout the draft. And the 2020 draft, they did it well again. Now, the Steelers didn't have a first-round pick because they traded it to the Dolphins for Minkah Fitzpatrick, who had an all-pro type of year with the Steelers. So right there, that was a win. All-pro for a first-round pick, you do it. Now, before Fitzpatrick got to the Steelers defensive pass coverage ranked 27th in the league before Fitzpatrick got there. All right. Then after Fitzpatrick got there, they went from 27th worst to the second best in defensive pass coverage in the league. All right, so talk about an increase in one guy making a big difference. All right, that's a difference maker who's worth every penny. Then with the 49th pick in the second round, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Chase Claypool, the wide receiver out of Notre Dame. Now, Claypool was one of my favorite receivers in the 2020 draft. Claypool's 6'5", 240 pounds, and has a 41-inch vert and runs a 4.42 in the 40, all right? That's Calvin Johnson type numbers, all right, for a receiver. Now, if you look at Claypool, he's so big that he looks like a tight end. All right, but he still moves like an elite wide receiver. Claypool bullies every corner he goes against, and he will instantly be a red zone threat for the Steelers, okay? Claypool tied T. Higgins, pulling in 16 receptions with 20 or more yards for this year's wide receivers class, so Claypool, it shows he's an absolute deep threat, all right? So Claypool, along with Juju Smith-Schuster, is going to be a deadly tandem for the Pittsburgh Steelers, all right? And Big Ben's going to go off with these two. The Steelers' third-round pick was almost as good as their second-round pick, right? The 102nd overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Alex Highsmith, the edge rusher out of Charlotte. Now, Highsmith is 6'3", 250 pounds and runs a 4.7 flat, all right? Highsmith can bend and rush the passer like it's nobody's business, all right? To me, Highsmith is a perfect fit for the Steelers, right? Just go watch his tape and you think, yeah, that guy fits on the Steelers. He's tough, he's physical, and he gets the passer with a variety of physical pass rush moves, all right? Highsmith and TJ Watt, to me, are going to be a deadly combo together for years to come. Then with the Steelers' fourth-round pick, they took Anthony McFarland, a little speedster running back out of Maryland, who honestly, he's a home run hitter in the run game, right? Now, I do believe McFarland will be a good change of pace back, just to go opposite of John Connor. So overall, I get why they picked him here. Then in the sixth round, the Steelers got more talent that really fits their scheme in Antonio Brooks Jr., the safety out of Maryland. So Brooks Jr. is about 5'11", 220. He could play safety or even linebacker, how built he is. I think he's going to move to linebacker, all right, because it's a passing game nowadays, and how physical he plays. Now, Brooks plays hard, he plays with passion, and I think he'll fit right in on that Steelers defense. After the Steelers wrapped up their draft by selecting Carlos Davis, the big defensive tackle out of Nebraska, who is also a solid player, he will also add some rotation depth at the defensive tackle position. So overall, the Steelers had a good draft. Almost great, but they had a good draft. Their first pick being used for Fitzpatrick, a Pro Bowl corner safety, win. Then they took the biggest, fastest, deep threat wide receiver in the draft to give Juju some help, win. And then they got one of the most underrated pass rushers in the draft in Highsmith, another win. So after that, the Steelers had some solid picks in McFarland, Dotson, Brooks, and Davis. But now because their late round picks were just solid and not great, I have to penalize them just a smidge, all right? At least half a letter grade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give the Steelers overall draft a B+ overall. All right, so they were close to an A, but still an amazing draft. All right, folks, now let's talk about the AFC North champs. Now, the Baltimore Ravens have been drafting solid for years now, all right? The Ravens always find home run picks in the early rounds or as well as the later rounds. So let's see how they did in this year. So first, the Ravens took linebacker Patrick Queen out of LSU with a 28th overall pick in the first round. Now, Queen plays fast, he plays physical, and he shows impressive field confidence as a leader. Now, some people said he was even the best linebacker in the draft overall. But I do think he's going to be a difference maker day one. So overall, great pick. I think he's going to make a difference for the Ravens right away. Then with the Ravens' second-round pick, they kind of shocked me with this selection. This one was shocking to me. With having Mark Ingram and Justice Hill already, which is a little speedster, and he's very electric, I thought the Ravens would, double down on defense or took another wide receiver to help up in the passing game. Instead, with their second pick, they took that beast of a running back out of Ohio State University, J.K. Dobbins. Now, Dobbins to me is the spitting image of Mark Ingram, right? Compare them together, they look like they're twins. But Dobbins actually is even a little more built than Ingram was coming out of college. Now, Dobbins was a top 3 running back in this draft, right? He's in my top 3, and he will be a nasty tandem in that run game with Lamar Jackson for years to come. So, solid pick. And in the third round, the 71st pick overall, the Ravens selected Justin Mabuke. Sorry if I butchered that last name. He's about 6'4", 300-pound D tackle who ran a 4.8 at the combine. Again, very, very athletic. He was excellent. He has excellent footwork. He has really good short area quickness. He sometimes got beat when double teamed, okay, by certain offensive linemen. He kind of struggled sometime in the double teams, but still, he stops the run when needed, all right? And if the Ravens coaching staff helps develop Mabuke, he can really be effective as a pro, especially on the passing downs. And one-on-one and pass downs, he's going to be a problem in certain situations. The Ravens then came back in the third round and took speedy wide receiver Devontae Duvernay out of Texas. The speedy receiver who ran a 4.39 at the NFL Combine, super fast, is probably the best straight line deep threat in the 2020 draft. All right, but to be great in the NFL, Duvernay is going to have to learn how to win on some other routes down the field. Right, he was always a deep threat in college. He's going to have to learn his routes and progress. The Ravens then finished the draft off by selecting LB Malik Harrison out of Ohio State, as well as 2 guards with solid potential. So the Ravens overall had a solid draft. The NFL Network and PFF had two completely different grades on the Ravens draft. All right, one had an A plus, I think one had a B minus. So that's almost two difference of grades. But I agree with both sides on why they graded that. But because I see the potential and I could see how these picks will fit into the team's future. But then I can also see where the Ravens could have selected better talent but didn't. Okay, they went with what they wanted. So overall, I'm going to give the Ravens a B plus. All right, so overall, good, solid draft, but again, B+. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. If you ain't a subscriber yet, hit the subscribe button. Please shout out and hit a comment below, and then also hit the like button if you like the video. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. See you on the next one. Peace.